kinky people are mentally healthier.
And discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism.
Okay, and I know you are particularly...
Who are the generation defined after September 11th?
What the extent of the injuries are right now.
Friends of Dorothy? Who are they?
Their magic must be very powerful, or she wouldn't want...
It's all happening out tonight. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Guest host, Antonio Biaggi. Special guest, Republican political entertainer, Michael Fitro. Special guest, Daisy Deadpedal. With our host panel, lifestyle expert, Napoleon Clays. Trans activist, Aaron Phoenix. Reality star, Chef Josie. DJ Devout Power Infinity. DC Log Cabin Republican, Joe Brookman. And our moderator, Al Ferguson. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Welcome, everybody, to It's Happening Out, America's most popular live gay talk show. We are live, and that means that anything can happen. They might be drinking halfway through the episode. We don't know. And anything can happen. It usually does. We've got a number of people up here that could say some crazy things, and I know I'm a wild card. So let's see what happens. Last week, we reached a new height, guys. We got over 537,000 views for it, and that was, I believe, 12 times or 13 times in a row, which means 3 months in Facebook. So congratulations to It's Happening Out for that amazing milestone. We come to you from Wilton Manors, the gayest place in America. And of course, right now we are in the lovely Bubbles and Pearls. Give it up for Bubbles and Pearls, everybody. We are loving our time here. It smells so good all the time, even if Josie's not with us tonight. So I want to get a little bit over the top and say that you guys have been at the Best Western the last couple of nights, correct?
Yes, the one on I-95.
Fort Lauderdale on I-95. You had a good time there?
I am. The staff is really friendly, wonderful. They're right there when you walk in. Even if I come in at 4 in the morning, bright, smiled, and they provide breakfast for you and make sure you're taken care of.
I don't really understand what you mean when you say, "Did I have a good time?" I mean,
Power always has a good time. Power brings the fun time, and it's very LGBTQ inclusive. I'm glad that you guys felt like you had a home when you were there, and later tonight too. So moving on a little bit, obviously we are missing a couple of people that you guys might be familiar with. And it wouldn't be the start of the show if I didn't turn to my left and say, Al, you look a little bit different tonight. What's going on? Al does that every time. Bad joke, but we got to do it for you. Al is actually out of what he believed to be the country. He tried to flee and ended up only making it to Alaska. Ooh. So we'll hear a little bit from him later today. Yeah, Al's in Alaska today.
I know, he can see Russia.
He just wanted to flee as hard as possible. So remember to like us, to start a watch group, to subscribe, and I'm going to cue you in for a little bit of how to do that.
When viewing our live show in your app, please click share. After clicking share, your screen should change and you can then click watch party. On the next screen, you can write text to your viewing audience and then click start watch party. You've done it. Enjoy your party.
So please remember to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. We've got a little bit we want to show you about our former moderator, now up in the wee north trying to find Jon Snow. Let's see a little bit about what's happening there.
hello, It's Happening Out. As you can tell, I'm not on the show this week, and that's because I'm on my 30th trip to Alaska. And I'm standing here in front of the Mendenhall Falls, here north of Juneau, getting ready to go into Glacier Bay National Park. And of course, as you can see, I'm at the Mendenhall Glacier. This is one of the largest ice fields in the world. The Juneau ice field is 1,500 square miles. And so I had a choice of letting Napoleon host the show this week or going to Alaska and I chose Alaska and America. I'm sorry. No, I'm only kidding. I'm sure Napoleon's doing a great job, and I'm saying hello from Alaska to everyone at It's Happening Out.
Well, we are glad that Al is having a fun time, and I don't know how many miles away it is, but it's far enough away that we can be happy.
Well, and I can say, Al, we are also glad that you chose Alaska too.
I think it was just a conceited thing because it has Al in the name. He wanted to go to Alaska just to make it there. So we've got some special guests up here right now that you guys may recognize. I'm going to start, of course, with Power Infinity. You guys all know. I just want to say hi. My girl all the time back. But I've got to throw it to you. You're going to beat me afterward if I don't. And then, of course, to my far right, we have Daisy Dead Pedals, South Florida hostess and MC.
I love her.
You love her. Self-love is good, Daisy. We're very happy to have you
Thank you
here,
for having
and
me.
America is happy too. And then, of course, between us, we have Antonio Biaggi.
I love it when he's
Adult entertainer and Wilton Manors entrepreneur. You're the owner of Hush Spa. And then to my left, we have Michael Fitro. You are an outspoken young Republican, correct?
Well, some things have changed recently, so I need to come out again. As of recent, I have resigned as chairman of the Next Generation Caucus and subsequently left the Republican Party.
Yeah.
So what I heard was that even just one time on the show, you realized your sins and have reconverted over.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I realized, I was holding on to a part of my past coming from such a religious background. You can leave conversion therapy, but it doesn't leave you. I checked my surroundings and realized I was in an area that wasn't serving my best interest, and for me to serve people, how to protect other people and take care of them, I could not remain in those areas and also be an ally to the people that I love and that love me.
So you're not staying in that area either.
No, well, the area of political Republican politics, no. I'm also moving to New York City. I'm moving to Manhattan. So,
Wow,
that's...
I'm not going to clap for that.
Oh, you're not going to clap for New York City. Come on.
Jealousy's a sin.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about that. It is, after all, September 11th, and we have a lovely package for you guys coming up later. I'm not talking about you when I say lovely package, okay?
Still works.
We always like to start with the best meme of the week. It's going to be a lot of fun, so make sure you guys check this out. It makes me smile. Oh, and so right now you can see, we think that this might be a little bit like Alaska. We're not saying that this is where Al is, but if he does happen to make it with the rest of this crew into the Phantom Zone, then we wish you the best luck coming back out. Maybe Henry Cavill will come save you. I would only be so jealous if that happened. Jesus. You guys have all seen Superman, right?
I wish.
Right.
You wish. Just imagine all the politicians stuck there on another world, floating away, having some fun. And then, of course, we also like to start with a best thing of the week. This week, we have an amazing video. It's actually really funny. It's in honor of Al's two favorite things, drag queens and Jimmy Kimmel. So we're going to go through them. We're going to see a little bit of this. Play the video back.
Ladies and gentlemen, all rise for Brooklyn Heights. Now, I called you a lip sync assassin this season. How do you plan to come out on top tonight?
Do you mean besides the loose pearls and razor blades?
Yes, besides all of
Besides
that.
that.
Yes.
Well, the stage is where I'm most comfortable. This is my home, so I'm just going to go out here and live my very best life. This only happens once, and I'm just going to give it my all.
So who's here supporting you tonight?
I have my mommy here.
Thank you, Mother Heights. Mwah, thank you. Brooklyn, how do you plan to use that big fat ass in tonight's lip sync smackdown? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Brooklyn Heights.
So a little bit of Mike Pence and Trump love for Brooklyn Heights and RuPaul himself. Daisy, can you imagine being in a competition of drag and then having something like that happen on?
Yeah. After a pageant, you're pretty much there anyway.
Hopefully you're saying that you have a secret story about Mike Pence from sometime in your past in a pageant.
No. He's not speaking to me. No.
I think we'll hear a little bit more about that later today, too. So, of course, we like to start our show with a fun game. It's called I'd Swallow That. It is a fun game. You see these shots on the table, and of course, it is all provided by Live Proud Vodka, which is a very, very, very tasty group. So let's get into the first question with our Live Proud Vodka. Question number 1. I will abandon a night out with my friends if I meet a hot guy or girl. Bitch, you're already halfway down on their power. I know I do that too, so I'll take it.
In a heartbeat.
Thanks for coming, girl. You can pick up your fries at the next window.
In a heartbeat.
Wow, they just have to come and you're already pushing them out.
Yeah. I'm easy. At this age, I'm easy.
It's like a drive-through.
Yes, honey.
So all of your friends, when you go out, you two, they just know, okay, that Biddy's
My
going to
friends
leave.
will understand when I get digmatized, they could just hang it up.
Well, it's very easy to happen, especially if you're having a lot of shots of Live Proud vodka. It is super easy to go down. It's gluten-free, which is helpful if you have a celiac sensitivity like myself, and it's also GMO-free. So it's got a lot of perks to it, of course, the name as well. Let's get to the next question. Question number 2. I have met someone that has caused me to question my current sexuality.
No, ma'am.
Have I?
No, thank you.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. For that.
Does it count if it's in the 1800s? Like ages ago?
I guess since it's you're now the veteran eldest here, correct?
Shady. Why do I come
I just lost a
here?
drag friend. All right, America.
Girl,
What's the story there, darling?
Girl, you ever questioned your sexuality?
It was like 6th grade.
Oh.
I'm just surprised she was still in school in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got a joke.
Where were you going, Mike?
I was going to say, actually, this year I tried it with a woman for the first time.
Has she seen you? What
was that?
What was she?
Really?
headless? You're very pretty. Was she a lesbian?
Did she tell you were a lesbian? Or?
Wow. You just said that if a woman wanted to sleep with Michael, that you think that they must be
Very
lesbian.
pretty. He's prettier than me, and I'm
People don't have to be
billboard.
Well, lesbians out there watching, would you have sex with
Very
Michael?
pretty.
Please dial in 1 if the vote is yes. Dial in 2 for no. Now that's a different game. Moving on in the future. I'm going to move on.
I'm
I don't
mad
want.
as hell about
I
you
don't
being
want
that
me
pretty.
to not be allowed to host this again just because I'm asking Michael questions. So let's go on. We're going to take our next shots. Reminder that over $1 of every bottle of Live Proud vodka is donated, and usually it's more than that too, to recognized civil rights organizations. So remember that you are providing for a good cause while you're getting your fun on. I'm looking
Very
straight at you,
nice.
Power. I don't know why.
That's right.
So let's go to the next one. Question 3. Oh, that's still 2. Question 3. I spend way too much time in front of the mirror. Girl.
Everyone better be swallowing.
We're gay. We all do it. No? Is that a gay stereotype? Power, what do you think is too much time in front of the mirror?
Today when I was doing my makeup and I couldn't get it right, so I was late.
Oh, got it. This is so much
Too much
fun.
time in front of the mirror. Getting dressed and just looking at myself because I'm fabulous. Too much time in front of the mirror.
I think the whole table just like nodded. Oh, yeah, because I'm fabulous. That's right. It's like the 5-minute fab time at the beginning of it.
Hello, that's everybody in the bar.
Right.
They all cheer for it. What about you, Michael?
I mean, I've been struggling recently because my selfie camera has been broken, so I've become increasingly more depressed. But I don't really know what it's like not to. I'm always just looking at myself. It's a problem, so I can't help it.
Well, I knew the answer was yes for you because when I walked over here earlier, you were just pampering yourself, checking it
I
out.
have mirrors everywhere. I have mirrors all over my house.
Yeah,
on
but
my
for a
furniture.
different
This helps your case.
In my business, everything is mirrors, so I have mirrors everywhere. So I'm always looking at myself. So,
And in my business, everything is smoke and mirrors, so I'm definitely
That sounds like my business.
Well, that's a good place to be. And of course, I want to remind everybody that Live Proud vodka does not cause hangovers, so I hope that you indulge in these last couple shots.
I just had
Anxious
3
for
in
that
one.
last
I know. Whoops. I'm getting so excited. Just tossing that everywhere.
little bit,
Question 4. I would rather improve an aspect of my personality versus trying to change my partner.
What if you don't have one? I think that counts.
Yeah, I've never been part.
Change myself. You've never had a partner?
Yeah,
No.
Wait, you're both single?
Yeah. Oh, girl.
I'm always the only single one on
Hey,
single.
how you doing?
You did
And then
recently
they
sleep
lose
with a woman.
Thought I was not the only single one for a
You can
second,
teach me a
America. Now
couple
they're already
things.
fucking. Great. Question number 4.
Ready,
So which
ready?
one is the top?
When you're ready to go back to bed, let me know.
Come over and find out.
You underestimate me.
Okay, it's always the top. It's always a drag queen.
As long as I can wear fair shoes.
I think we have a new after show for later today. We can just get our mics on and keep
Can I bring a
commentating
camera?
afterwards.
Please do.
Question number 4, everybody.
Didn't we just do question number 4?
Yes, we did. Yes,
Oh,
we did. I'm not even doing
You're
it.
talking about her going through 6th grade. You can't count.
He's the only one that didn't have to count. Okay.
Live Proud vodka is really turning it.
Just a reminder, it was awarded from the SIP Awards. It's like the Nobel Peace Prize for alcohol. That's why he's already so happy. It's essentially the Platinum Award. It is the highest level of recognition that a vodka can achieve. So great for you, Live Proud. It's an amazing product. We're happy to have you on board.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Happy
after
to make these people a little bit more fun.
and after 4 shots, you can't remember how many shots you had.
And apparently, if they each have 4, then they just start an orgy.
We're
on
on
camera.
question number 7.
So let's move on to celebrity hot topics. Oh man, celebrity hot topics. All right. Today we're going to start with a new game that came out. It's called Cyberpunk 2020. This is a video game that is coming out of entertainment fields galore, and it's making mainstream medium success because there is no gender in this game. You don't choose male or female when you're creating a character. You choose attributes, what size, tattoos, vocal tones. And so the real question being presented here is, does this allow for more gender fluidity to give you this freedom to go back and forth and arrange and create your character? Or is it limiting that gender fluidity because people that fully identify as male or female and want male character can't do that? What do you think about that?
Well, when you say what size, what are you talking about?
I guess it goes back to the top questions all the time. I'll find out
Want to
happily
be
later.
clear.
It's funny because I was told to keep my hands off of in front of my face. So if I need to do that, I guess I can find other things for them under the table.
I think it's okay, but I think they should have the option if you want to be male or you want to be female.
Yeah.
Why not? It's kind of discriminatory
To not
at this
allow it.
point. Yeah.
That is how some people
It
feel.
is.
But you
Kinda
can
get
still
that.
create a character that has a male body and has a male
And if
voice.
Okay.
I identify myself as a male, and they should have the option also for male. So if you don't want to have an identity, you should not have that identity. If you want to be able to character.
If you're now you on the other, you can have some people that are trans and might fully identify as a woman or a man, and they might feel the same way. They might feel like, I want to play this game and I want to be a woman, or I want to be a man.
Totally.
So I think that I personally don't see what the big deal is. I mean, it is a game after all, but like Antonio said, if you, I think they should give the option at least of being able to choose.
Well,
you know.
part of what they have done
agree.
is they've had a lot of celebrities that are on board with this game. Keanu Reeves is really known for being one of the spokespeople for this game. I guess he's the new face of androgyny, the celebrities that they're bringing on board. That can be male, female, help you feel like you're yourself without identifying those characteristics.
I mean, the last game I played was Mario Bros, and I always played the princess.
and you grew up to become one. There you go.
Well, I think that's like it's a luxury to be able to look on there and go like I can choose whatever I want to be, and if you can build your character and you can choose who you want. Some people that are trans or might be that identify, but if it comes to specifically to the surgeries and you are one way down here and you're one way up here and you can actually mold that and make that. That opportunity is there, and what makes a man or woman, a lot of people ask, is our identification, and what's on the outside is what people will perceive. Some people will see someone who's trans, and they will be what is called passing, and no one will ever know. So it's kind of like, does the male and female actually, the little name on the side matter, or is what is visual
That's
matter
exactly
for you?
the question. And this topic of conversation here has only made me more aware. No, there's no way to please everybody because even you bitches are like, no,
Well,
no,
I
no.
know. But even for transgender, that's what they want. They want to be identified as a woman or as a male. So
Well,
it's not necessarily.
As a drag queen, I've never fit in either box. Definitely, I'm kind of happy right in the middle. So for me, I like the idea that you said you can have male, you can have female, and then you have these ones that aren't defined, which is where I think I fit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I look
think
forward
a little
to the
bit
day
of
that the
everything.
drag queen
Androgyny is
comes out.
my stick, so I wouldn't have a problem with it. But these days everybody's offended by something.
I don't get really offended by
The wind blows, and they're like,
You can call me she. I don't get really offended
I
by
want to
what
move
you
us
call me.
on.
I'll
I want to
answer
move us on a
anything.
little bit.
Okay.
Speaking of being offended or not, Teen Titans, Titans, the show on DC Universe, just released its second season, and it is receiving a lot of accolades because they cast a trans deaf man as. His name is Chella Man as the character Jericho, who has not trans, who has nothing to do with the LGBTQ spectrum. So essentially, they're receiving praise because they hired someone that is just right for the role. And in a time when there is all of this movement, you have to cast a trans person as a trans character, you have to cast a gay person as a gay character. What does that say for this? I guess they haven't had enough Live Proud vodka because it's just so great.
I have to drive, so I can't. I'm already sitting here going, the room is spinning.
Well,
So.
y'all act like y'all not paying attention to Napoleon. Stop all this drinking, girl.
I appreciate
I
that.
did
Going
Tastes
back- So, holding these two off for a minute. Power, I'm curious about your opinion about that. Do you need to be any specific type of person to play that character?
No, I think that they made the right choice. I think that they picked the best person for the role, and it really shouldn't matter if you're trans, if you're this, if you're that. They just picked the best person for the role. And I think that hopefully, you know, as we move forward, these type of decisions will be made where it's not going to be, you know, somebody's typecast because they are trans or gay or this or that.
Or because they're crazy and they play crazy people very well.
Right.
But Anne, I have to say,
agree.
going back to Keanu Reeves, who's obviously a major advocate for us, in his last movie, John Wick Chapter 3, they had the individuals from Billions, Asia K. I'm sorry, I forgot their last name. They had play, you know, a non-binary character in John Wick 3. So, and they didn't define it either way, which I think is great. He's obviously a
It's
major
coming
ally.
more and more into the mainstream
Yeah.
so that conversations like this can be had, not just
Yeah.
by us, more active in the community, but by you out there who might not be. Which brings us into our next case of potentially crying wolf. A week ago, Kristen Stewart had reported that the MCU would not cast her as a character because she was gay and presented too lesbian when she was out. But it came out that Disney said that wasn't quite the case. If you want to play the video.
And you did talk about that a bit in the Harper's Bazaar article when you talked about being warned about how to behave in public with your girlfriend. Since that article came out, what sort of reactions have you gotten?
Honestly, the conversation has changed so drastically internally and externally on that subject. I'm so lucky to be able to reap the benefits of a sort of new generation that really accepts the progress of that conversation and really like wears it very proudly. And it hasn't always been that way. And I think in the last couple of years, it just is like so much easier. I didn't really like come out. It wasn't like, oh, I was not out. That wasn't like a traumatic, difficult sort of like mountain to climb. That I kind of lived really freely and saw this trickle-down effect. Like other people were more affected by it than I was, and then I was like, oh, I really understand like the weight of this, and I'd love to be involved in that, whatever. But I hate like commodifying like details of my life, but at the same time, I'm a pretty open book.
It would be pretty cool if you heard from Marvel after that interview.
I'm sure that they would love to hire the gay kids to be super. I was really more about the internal conversation that was going on.
You've got an expert right here.
Yeah, I in no way was projecting the ideas of Marvel and the way that they hire their cast members. In no way. It was more of a me conversation.
Sure. Anthony.
So we've seen a little bit of Kristen Stewart's response to that. I'm just curious, as someone that's grown up with more of gay acceptance in their whole life, what do you feel about that?
I think she's really crying wolf, and like just because you're rejected for part isn't because of your sexuality. I think watching that, I mean, she couldn't even look at the moderator the whole time, and she's trying to create a story and keep going with something. She's all upset that I didn't get hired because I'm a lesbian. No, you didn't get hired because a lot of people just don't like your acting, and you most likely probably just didn't get cast for the role because you're not the right person. You know, the more you cry wolf and the more you make something about something it's not, the more you create a problem for all of us when something actually happens and it's about that.
It's true. It reflects badly on the gay community.
I take issue with the fact that you say that she could not look at the moderator. We all know Kristen Stewart always looks that way. She always talks that way. She don't look at nobody in the eye. She's very, you know, she's very lazy in the way she acts and the way she talks and stuff. But it's no shade to Kristen Stewart. You know, I don't really feel that she has a problem, because we have all known her to play these roles that have always been very straight. You know, of course, you know, what's the
Bella?
Twilight?
Yeah, right.
You know, and all that stuff.
Thanks.
So it's gonna be a long time in the coming before she gets typecast as a lesbian just because she is a lesbian. I mean, we know her as something different. It's not like, you know, RuPaul being, you know, playing a straight part. That would be like,
right.
Okay,
well, it's
right.
interesting because this
Yeah.
is the second case to make pretty mainstream news outside of LGBT.
So she's like another Jussie
Smollett, yeah, who a couple of months ago said that he had a acid thrown onto his face and that it was a hate crime because he's gay and black. And then reneged on the entire thing. There's a lot of that. That's why it's crying wolf, because if it didn't actually happen to you, it reflects badly on our community as a whole. Daisy, if you experienced this and then you wanted to vocalize, you'd have a harder time now because of what she just did.
Exactly, and I will say the whole Jussie Smollett thing really did hit me hard, because I have had an experience where back in the day that I was chased down the street in full drag with a friend of mine that was in drag as well. And, you know, I've had that was my reality back in the day in the early 90s. So to have somebody like fake that is just disrespectful to somebody that's gone through that, actually. And I don't know, I thought it was just
Are you crying?
Who? No, girl. You're
okay.
not that emotional. I dealt with that in therapy ages ago.
I was gonna say, girl, we've all been attacked, girl. Yo, right?
To be fair, to balance out your story, when I moved to New York, it was drag queens that chased me through the streets to try to get me over my fear.
You may have that experience again later tonight.
Down the alley.
Hopefully it'll be a little sexier later. So our final topic for celebrity tonight brings us back to our sister program, The View. There has been, let's say, a little controversy over some tweets that some of the stars of Will and Grace, Eric McCormack and Deborah Messing, have sent in, and Whoopi Goldberg was not happy with it. Let's take a look at the video.
Whoopi Goldberg is slamming Deborah Messing and Eric McCormack for requesting a list of Trump supporters. Now, it all began when the Will and Grace stars posted to Twitter requesting The Hollywood Reporter print a list of supporters attending a Beverly Hills fundraiser for Donald Trump. Deborah wrote, "Please print a list of all attendees, please. The public has a right to know," with McCormack posting, "Hey, at The Hollywood Reporter, kindly report on everyone attending this event so the rest of us can be clear about who we don't want to work with.
Yeah,
Thanks."
Whoopi did not agree with their request and voiced her opinion on The View.
Listen, last time people did this, people ended up killing themselves.
Yeah.
This is not a good idea, okay? Do not encourage people to print out lists, because the next list that comes out, your name will be on, and then people will be coming after you. You don't have the right. In this country, people can vote for who they want to. That is one of the great rights of this country. You don't have to like it, but we don't go after people because we don't like who they voted for. We don't go after them that way. We can talk about issues and stuff, but we don't print out lists.
So here we have, we're going back to McCarthyism, essentially. If we want to put people on lists to blacklist them from being involved, that's what we're talking about here.
Okay, well, if you don't vote for somebody that is a racist asshole and you know it's wrong, then you won't kill yourself. Like she was saying, oh, they killed themselves back in the day. Well, they know that they were doing something wrong. If you're not doing something wrong, you don't have to kill yourself. So why are you voting for a douchebag, racist motherfucker?
So you're saying it's fine to call them out.
It is fine to call them out and to know who the fuck gave the money to Trump. Yes, I agree. So we don't support them and we don't watch their fucking movies. I agree.
Okay, so, you know, as much as I would agree with, like, the fact, like, I never supported Trump, I wouldn't vote Trump, but as someone that watches politics and has been followed as a political operative, circled in cars and stalked because I'm either too Republican or not Republican enough or too gay and people come after me, people that voted for Trump and people that may have supported him then and not now, but people that voted for him were desperate enough because of what happened to them from both sides of the establishment that put them in a corner. We're blaming voters and putting voters in a corner because the establishment put them in a place where they didn't know where to go, and he conned them. A lot of people got conned, and those people do not deserve to be followed and killed. But also, it is public information. Donations are public information, so if you're interested in finding their public information and donations, go find them.
You're going into a different point, so I want to hold on to hit both of those. So firstly, he's asking in the text or in the thread.
They were stupid enough to vote for him.
No, Eric McCormack clarified that he wanted to see who was donating to this, not the list, but donators. So that's what you're saying.
His clarification.
Well, yeah, it's public information.
His clarification really holds no weight, and I love Eric, but Eric, like I know him personally, but I love him, but his clarification really holds no weight because in his first tweet he said, "Please let us know so we don't work with them anymore." Then he came back and said, "Well, I want to know because." We want to know who donated because it's public information. Your first tweet was the most honest tweet, and I can't believe there's actually one thing I actually disagree with Antonio on, which is, and I am the biggest anti-Trumpanzee, but I still believe that people do have a right to be wrong, and people do have a right to be stupid, and people do have a right to vote for who they want to vote for. The only way the only way I want to see a list is if somebody on that list affects me. Celebrities who they vote for really does not affect me. It does not affect my life. They do not infringe on my rights. They're idiots, but they don't affect me. Anybody that affects me, yes, I want to know.
But here's the thing. This is frightening.
It was Beverly Hills.
Hold on a second. This is frightening because, I just started watching Handmaid's Tale, so my brain is in this space of conspiracy always. But this is how it starts. When you get to a dictator, when you get to a regime, by having your friends turn against you. So what they're doing is perpetuating the growth of a dictatorship by having somebody there in office that says, okay, let's get one brother to fight the brother.
If you're following Hitler, you know that you're doing wrong. So why are you afraid of being put on the list?
They don't. See,
if you're not doing anything wrong, you should not be afraid of being put on the list.
They don't think they're doing anything wrong. However, I will agree with you on one point. No. If I was going to an event and somebody wanted to post my name for an Obama event or a Hillary Clinton event, I wouldn't give a damn because I know
exactly because you're not doing anything wrong.
But they feel a kind of way not because they feel that they're doing something wrong, but because they know that there's such backlash.
Yes, they feel they're right.
No, that's because they're ashamed of it.
No,
so
they just know.
Why vote for something that you're ashamed of it?
Some people aren't ashamed of it, but it's also the fact that when you're putting out a blacklist like that and you're sending people out to go and commit violent acts against someone that aren't committing violent acts against you, that's violating the First Amendment right. You're not allowed to do that. You can argue like we're arguing. But sending it, there's no excuse because then when it comes to us, when we become in power, we're creating a monster. We have a monster right now that's been created by just not addressing things in our nation that have come up. Trump's a symptom. But when it goes forward and then people start committing acts of violence against us and we go boo-hoo us, and it's true, when we commit acts of violence against those people, that does not make it okay. There's no reason to commit acts of violence against other people because it makes our case harder. It makes the case of freedom harder, and that is not what our democratic republic is about, and nothing like that is okay. The McCarthyism is supposed to be dead.
But we're in a historic age where we've reverted back however many years. It's now the 1950s again, and this is just one more.
I think they should do a list
of those symptoms.
But it's almost like
he said they should do a list.
I'm going to move us on. I'm going to move us on a little bit because we have some fun new news. Everybody, this is what is happening out right now. We have some breaking news coming to you right at this moment. Firstly, Dan Bishop wins the North Carolina Congress race. This was yesterday. It just happened. He's also the author of the North Carolina bathroom bill. So we give it up to you. Congratulations for winning, and we're excited to see what's happening with that aspect of the. Yeah, come on.
Oh, awesome.
How do I give it up? How do I give it up?
Congratulations to the. Wait, say what?
Is he the Democrat?
He wrote the. Sorry? Oh, it just matters if he's the Democrat or the Republican.
No, you're saying he wrote a bathroom bill. Wait, which bathroom bill? Because there are people trying to ban people from
transgender one.
Which bathroom bill?
Okay, sounds like we should bring this into a long topic of conversation.
The positive one for our community or the negative one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to focus on. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I clap for anyone.
So we've learned a lot of things, America. Right now, these two are the ones that will at least ask a basic question to know what side they're on.
Y'all notice I didn't clap.
Excited.
Y'all notice I didn't clap. I don't clap for shit I don't know.
Do it. So I think we're lost on that point a little bit for the moment, but I don't want to forget. It's clearly on our side because we're mostly liberal. We're promoting it because it's a good thing that happened in North Carolina.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
But actually, no. In this case, it's the Republican. I'm actually completely wrong. In this case, he wrote the bill that banned them. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I was remembering in North Carolina when that guy won, he won only by 4,000 votes in a ruby red district because no one goes out to vote.
Everybody, this is what happens. You hear one bad thing, one wrong fact, and that's called fake news. We're just gonna move on from that.
Always question what you hear.
Something else. Forget that I clap. Keep going.
And push on for the final time and the bon voyage because we have now news that Sarah Palin and her longtime husband, Todd Palin, have split up.
I'm so proud of him. I am so proud of him.
Well,
so sorry.
For whatever that's worth, what that means is that we're pretty certain it's with reason to assume that with a new visitor of Al Ferguson in town, maybe there's a reason. I think we might have found something online, streaming and going through.
Is that a young Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the back right there? She's looking straight at the camera. That's a time travel warp right there.
So we send our love to Al with his new female companion. I'm just kidding, guys. We know that this is photoshopped because Al would never be in anything at a sports game. So it clearly can't be true. So moving along. You're just ready to jump into anything, and I identify as a puppy, but you're the one that's really ready to go for it. Jesus. All right.
Sarah Palin's husband freeing himself of Sarah Palin is the closest thing he's going to get to feeling like he just freed himself from off the plantation.
So you're relating being married to Sarah Palin to being a plantation worker.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Pretty much.
That's a rough. If you really watch her life, I mean, being beholden to the values that she runs on. When you mix your private life like that, and then your political life like that, and then people look at you like that, and you have to live that way, and that amount of pressure goes on, and you choose to do that, and you bring everyone else, as Sarah Palin did, your children, your husband, into that life, and they can't make the mistakes that normal people make. Your husband can't be the normal person he wants to be. That's a jail. You want to get out because, like, her daughter got pregnant out of wedlock, and that could have cost her an election.
True. She's
For
had
whatever gun
she's had a lot of things in her past
So
that have
when you
reflected
force
badly
other
on
people
her.
in your life to follow the decisions you make, and they do it because they love you, that takes a toll on people.
If you're running on your good Christian moral values and you're not doing them yourself, like what are you telling your audience? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Don't.
I think this is a perfect display, though, of what real life is, and people
Al
can take
and
that.
that's what'll fuck you up.
And Al is-
Heroin.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm tired of talking about Sarah Palin. Can we move on?
Absolutely. So moving forward, we have our headlines. And this week, we are starting with the Forbes Innovators List. It is where Forbes came out with 100 of the best innovators of this past year. And on the list, there is only one single female out of 100 people. And this is, of course, only U.S. residents. But they couldn't find more than one woman to get onto this list. We, at It's Happening Out, had a single person at desk work for it for 30 minutes to try to find if there was a reason that these people couldn't be found. And ultimately, no, there's no reason. They are easy to find and can be found in 30 minutes. We found these three right here. These are just examples. Google, and you'll find some more too. Here's our first one. We suggest, oh, that's not the first one. We suggest that Marilyn A. Hewson be on the list. She is a chairwoman, president, and CEO of Lockheed Martin, which creates and houses aircraft and military equipment. I could get into more details with that, but it would not be entertaining, and I'd probably put a military thing in my mouth, probably trying to explain it.
So she's boring.
You can be boring and be a great entrepreneur.
True.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Do the things that other people can't understand how to do.
Yeah.
Number 2, Virginia M. Rometty. We suggest that she, the chairman, president, and CEO of IBM, be listed.
Wasn't she from Stepford Wives?
Because of her,
Like the
her
one
picture.
that created, like she worked for IBM, same shit.
I think that was a completely different thing, but that's fine. That goes back to the masculine, feminine stereotypes that we're projecting on what we expect of the Forbes list. Because they only had one woman. I can't believe you're not more mad, Power.
I'm mad. This is my mad face.
It's the Botox. And the makeup.
Our final suggestion is to add Julia Hartz, who is the co-founder and CEO of Eventbrite Global Ticketing.
Yay, and
Now-
that's how I'm selling the tickets for my show, Eventbrite. So thank
Now
you.
you're excited.
Thank
Now you're
you.
excited.
Eventbrite is a ticket purchasing website. A lot of you guys know it. And Antonio has a show that we're going to tell you about a little bit later,
Friday, 2
but
days.
we'll tell you all about it in some time. Porn star, he's going to go
Awesome,
comedic.
Eventbrite. I think it's great. One thing I think, yes, we need to more inclusive, but at the same time, I feel when they start people protesting these kind of things, it becomes a little hypocritical. So like, okay, you want to put all men, it's fine, same as the Oscars were too white, and then the next year it's like everybody is black. It's like they're trying too hard, you know? Like I want it to be more
Looks like
your merit.
natural. Yeah, like half and half.
But do you think
or,
that this
let's
do you
put
think
three-
naturally if they had just chosen a sample random survey of 100 people that did great things that it really would have come
No,
out
it's
1 to 99?
one more time the same thing that they keep like not being inclusive, but at the same time I don't feel like now next year they have to put 50 women and 50 men. You know, like I think that's gonna be hypocritical.
Even this
then
year,
for
they've said
next
that
year.
they made a mistake and that they could have put more effort into trying to find.
Yeah, I don't
next
think.
year you're gonna see like 40 women, and that's hypocritical.
Well, let's hope that next year they don't go to that extreme. But certainly we should hope for more than just one.
Yeah,
of course.
Well, it's
Yeah,
about
more
equal and then equitable results. And what's natural is what we're conditioned to do. And we find men to be the image of success of of fame, of fortune, of this and that. So our natural result as corporations and entities that go out and do these things is to find these men. So we need to make equitable results where we can make an equal platform for people, whether you do submissions, whether you do whatever, to actually go out and showcase these people that do it. Because in order to get natural results that we see as natural, you have to condition people to do that, because we can be conditioned to not see it like this for so long. So I mean, not put 1 million women or only 1 million men, but really make it a fair and balanced way where it's really who made the greatest impact and what those people have as individuals can bring to the table as those people that make that global
impact. It does take a lot of time for culture to progress over that, and there are changes that we need to have. Part of that is having these conversations.
It takes 2,000 years.
It takes 2,000 years. Well, it did not take 2,000 years this last week for the Bahamas to be completely hit by Hurricane Dorian. We chatted about that a little bit last week. We're not going to hit too much on that this week, but we are going to comment on some of the aftermath from Hurricane Dorian. So if we could check out this video with some of what Trump had to say.
We have to be very careful. Everybody needs totally proper documentation, because the Bahamas had some tremendous problems with people going to the Bahamas that weren't supposed to be there. I don't want to allow people that weren't supposed to be in the Bahamas to come into the United States, including some very bad people and some very bad gang members and some very, very bad drug dealers.
Wow. Rough. So if we're not used to Trump at this point, well, that's who we have. A person that will say very, very, very continual things, very, 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 and big.
The worst things, bad things.
So what's interesting about this story is that in the Bahamas, before Trump, they already had to have paperwork, passports, and criminal records shown to even get in here. That's very difficult. At this point, Trump is just saying, nope, sorry, don't care about any of them. And that's what takes this. It makes it just a kick in the boot, or kick in the butt. He didn't have to do this to get anything to change. It was already the law. He's just deciding to make a whole statement about it to be a dick
for his base.
Well, y'all notice that the only people that Trump regards as very bad people are people of color.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan can run over a girl, and they're very fine people. Kim Jong-un, his pork chop ass, is a great leader. Putin, he wants to suck his cock till kingdom come. But black and brown people, they're very bad people, or bad hombres. Trump is a Ku Klux Klan. And this is just another example of him at his racist best. Period, point blank.
Racist best.
I agree.
Yep. What he said, there's no reason to ban people from the Bahamas when the death count is going to be spiking more than we could ever have seen before, and we can't even count now, and complete parts of islands are decimated.
Thousands.
Well, there is a
Thousands.
reason. There is a reason. They're black. If they were Norwegian, Trump would be carrying them on his fat back across the border. Himself, piggybacking them.
So in our world, there's no reason to ban them, is what I'm saying. But in his world, there's every reason,
Of
which
course,
is the
yeah,
issue.
yeah.
So in an already institutionalized racist program to make people provide their criminal records just to come over here, not including just their passports and everything, this is just a bold statement to make people feel justified the way they feel to these people, and not to provide aid to people that desperately need it, even to people that even within our own territories. We don't do it to Puerto Rico. We don't do it to other places. We have an issue in this White House, and it needs to be taken care of.
I mean, I just find it ironic. Trump does not care about bad people. If Trump cared about bad people,
he puts them in office. He looks for them to put in office.
I mean, he all the people he puts in office are bad people. His good friend, as he said, they have a love relationship. Him and Kim Jong-un is a bad person. Putin is a bad person. Trump doesn't give a damn about bad people unless they're black.
Or brown.
So going on from bad people to just trolling people, we're going to talk about Iceland a little bit. Because in a recent trip that Vice President Michael Pence took to Iceland, he was trolled with the rainbow flag and a red carpet spectrum.
Amazing.
And the president of the country greeted him wearing a rainbow flag and a rainbow bracelet. Can we check out that video? It's really fun to watch. Watch their faces.
And the next stop was Iceland, where our notoriously anti-gay vice president was greeted first by a row of not-so-subtle rainbow pride flags, and then by the Icelandic president and first lady both wearing pride bracelets. Vice President is now finally on his way back to the U.S., expected to land in D.C. around midnight, but I don't think his relief will last too long. Just wait until he finds out what almost happened to Alabama while he was gone.
Okay, so I've got to ask specifically, Antonio, One, because you've got a little smirk on your face. Would you want to be there and protesting in that way?
Yeah.
Like, what do you imagine is going through Mike Pence's head right there?
Oh my God, I don't know. I hope the worst. I hope he felt very uncomfortable. Bravo for Europe, because like we're seeing a trend that we don't have here in USA. Like Luxembourg has a gay prime minister.
Yeah.
Even Serbia has a lesbian prime minister. I mean, they're pushing the boundaries. And here in USA, because of Trump and Mike Pence, we're kind of like backwards right now. And bravo for Ireland. I mean, it's great. And I hope they investigate that motherfucker with all those trips that they were doing from the Trump property all the way to Dublin.
Back and forth or to
Back and forward. Illegal.
What do you... Daisy's smiling at me a little bit slyly, too. What's going on in your head, darling?
I think it's great. Especially that his wife is an art teacher.
So you think that they're like making these little trips?
I was fully scholarship to New World School of the Arts, and all of my friends are artists, and they're all gay. Girl, get your shit together.
I wonder what's going on in his head to walk into someplace knowing that
Bad art going through his head from straight people. Just say no offense.
Right.
I joke, but I mean,
offending all of straight America.
Horrible.
Personally,
Straight artists
I
out there.
think Mike Pence probably saw that as a sign that this is a country that would have the best bathhouses. And,
Shout out to you, Club Aqua. How you doing?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's what he's going for, some secret time away from the wife.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as some that have been closeted in the past have, I know anyone who's been to DC knows.
But it shows also the way that people think of us in Europe. Like I go to Europe 2-3 times a year, and it's like you say USA, and people look at you like, oh.
Just now?
I don't even want to show my passport. I feel like
Is it just now that this is happening with this president?
yeah, the last couple of years. It's
Right.
like I'm afraid of showing my U.S. passport. I'm like,
Right.
We're the
And
joke
this
of
is
the
a great
world.
show of solidarity from these people, but also I wonder what is going to happen within our administration since that happened, because I know that what he's recognizing is these people do not stand the way I stand, and they're making a point to disagree with me. If they're going to start going out after these politicians and calling them bad people, or that we need to do tariffs, or we need to do all these other things. I mean, I'm interested to see their reaction in domestic policy and how they're going to talk about them from overseas because of this show of solidarity with us and against them, what exactly Pence and Trump might say.
That almost sounded like a little bit of fear as to what the retaliation will be to us.
Yeah,
what
because there
they're
will be
doing.
retaliation. With every step it's a war for rights. It's a war for a globalized society to be able to
I mean, they've
go
already.
forward.
Everything that they do, is a retaliation. So it's one more thing or a couple more things, we can't really pinpoint and say, well, it's a retaliation for this. The fact is, they're just bigots. They were going to do it anyways.
Right.
You mean Pence?
Huh?
You mean with the Pences?
The Trump administration.
Well, what I think I love most about this is that it's a very kind way to protest. It gets your message out. It got the point to us.
Yeah.
It brought smiles. I know to us, not to them. But it's a way to protest to add positivity to the universe rather than try just with aggression. So that's.
I would have
always
brought
liked
him
to
gay
me.
strippers with a thong in his face.
It's camaraderie. It's community, and that is actually a good lead-in because. As we spoke about earlier, today is September 11th, which is a day of infamy for all of America. And I call myself a New Yorker. I have lived there a large portion of my life. I know a lot of you guys have very strong connections to New York, and a lot of you guys out there have a lot of strong connections to New York. So we're going to take a moment just to highlight some of our favorite memories with some imagery that we have, from some of our favorite times in New York. So we throw it up there. I think we're going to start with me. I've got a couple of images from my first ever Halloween parade with my first boyfriend because I thought that would be a fun time to wear a rope around my whole body. It was frozen.
Oh my God.
And then I'm at the Chrysler Building in the Museum of Natural Art and the other two.
What happened in the left?
On the left, I'm a mummy.
Are you okay?
I'm a mummy at the Mummy
Oh,
Arch.
shit.
It was a lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun. That was when I was 18. It was a long time ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't even recognize you.
Yeah, I know. Let's move on to the next.
What year was that?
That was in New York.
What year?
Oh, 2007.
God, wouldn't it be?
Oh,
easier
look
just to
at
run me over?
Power.
Power, what are you doing over there?
I'm living.
Power.
You're like an avatar.
You do look like Avatar. Was this your casting call for it? See Power Infinity and Avatar 3, 4, and 5.
Ain't it?
I love the one of you on the TVs with all of the fierce makeup, where across like 12 TVs.
Yeah.
Is that
When was that?
That was at Exit in New York with Junior Vasquez.
Very cool.
And of course, all the screaming looks too, because it wouldn't be Power without a little aggression and intensity.
Yeah.
What do we have next, team?
Fierce.
Aww. The porn star has like the family picture.
God.
You're a
My
person.
for a photo. So I was born in New York.
Okay.
I never lived in New York because I was raised in Puerto Rico. Like 1 week after I was born, they moved to Puerto Rico. But that's my we went to visit the family in New York when I was 12. That was 12 right there. And then with my group of friends that we always hang out at et cetera, which is a restaurant I'm doing my show in November. And I don't know, I go almost every month. So so that was the other photo was just like a winter photo. I don't know.
It's crazy. Again, the porn guy has his family pictures up there on for it.
I know. I was 12.
You were 12. And then lastly, we've got Michael. You scream New York too.
Yes, so, and I have a little something particular on this, but yeah, so the first picture you see, I'm wearing the same outfit as I did in there when I went, that was my very first trip to Stonewall, which was like a mecca for me, everything I've gone through. And this was actually on my birthday. That was me outside the Met Museum where they do the Met Gala. And then those two people on the bottom are people that mean the world to me and have made my life possible, really getting to New York City and really changed my life in terms of being unconditionally loved and supported in the process of really coming to terms with who you are and going into the future. And actually with him, I just want to say, what affected me and his spirit on the bottom, he's such a fighter, is he has a firefighter that actually ran into the flames of the Twin Towers. His name is Kevin Bracken, and was saving people, and he died in the Twin Towers. His cousin, as well as a remembered employee from the towers, Robert Bearwater, was in the Twin Towers as well. So all the thousands watching, if you can remember those names.
That guy died?
No, his family. His cousin was a heroic firefighter that was saving people in the Twin Towers. And then, passed. And then as well as his cousin Robert Bearwater. So those names should live in all the hearts of the thousands of people watching, and for the people that are in New York. That that's really what the spirit of America is about, is saving people no matter what.
Absolutely. And that's one thing we can't separate the tragedy of this event from some of the positives
I
we're
forgot
highlighting.
to say my family's photo actually was in the Twin Towers because my aunt worked in the 90th floor. So when that happened, actually, I thought I was working. I remember I thought she was still working. So I fall on the floor crying because I thought she was still there, but she retired a month before.
Oh, wow.
She actually moved later on to Orlando because all of her company, everybody died. So she moved to Orlando. So she had to go to. She's still, I think, in therapy. So because of that.
That actually makes me kind of curious.
That was like,
you all had been to New York before September 11th, the three of you, right?
Yeah.
Had you as well?
No.
I was 10 when it happened. I had never gone before.
I was 6.
So my photo was in the observatory. That's the photo with my family.
That's cool.
But what were some of your what were your thoughts before and after in terms of the first visit you went after 9/11 to New York?
I haven't been after. I mean, not like because I was like shaking. I would go on a plane and go there and experience New York, which is amazing. I did Pride there a few years before that happened, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. Like seeing all those gay people on the pier and just enjoying themselves, and it was such a moment of freedom and amazingness and camaraderie between your people that kind of set it back a little bit. So I wanted to experience that moment and just have that moment in my head as my last one.
Would you go back?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And just
Does everybody remember where they were?
Yes.
Yeah.
On 9/11, it's one of those events that is like the JFK murders. Everybody remembers what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember what I was doing. I was in my home on South Beach, watching the TV when I saw the first plane go into the tower. And I actually thought that it was some type of
a movie.
movie.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right. I thought it was a movie.
And it happened at 8 a.m. So not knowing really what's going on.
Yeah.
I was in school. The teachers told us to turn on the news with our TVs to have it going on. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know at first because of how much they were protecting us that it was even something in our country. What they were showing in Maryland wasn't that at first. It was just the tragedy without any information at first, in the school at least, I should say. And it took about halfway through the day before they started announcing every little bit of what was going on to clue the students in more and more. But I wanted to share that the first time I went to New York was right after September 11th. It was right in November, and I went with my whole family. My parents met in New York. It was the only time that I really remember seeing my dad cry was driving up and him seeing the fact that the towers weren't there. He looked and just stopped on the side of the bridge because he could see that there was such a change.
Yeah.
And that was what made it feel, that's what clued me into how much it changed in New York, because that was my first experience. So that meant going there for me was just experiencing the community. And it's why I love it so much, because after that, New York came together so well to just support each other and become so much about love that's what I think of New York as.
Well, I don't know if anyone's been. I remember the first time I went was in 2009, and I went there and we had a tour of the area right next to it, and we got to go in and see the construction of the new One World Trade Center. And it had made me think, because I played video games, I'm a gamer and stuff, but I had played for so long and remember it happening that the games were still, I would play until I had gone to New York, I never really visualized the change.
Yeah.
So I was playing games, the towers were still in the games, and I got there, and I just saw the inside of construction of these buildings, and just it tapered off. And then I went up there just this past, in the photos for my birthday, and I went to the One World Trade Center, and it was something that was like a renewed spirit. It was like, we still rebuilt, we went there, but then you go, I don't know if any of you have been to the memorial, the where the towers were. The actual dimensions of the tower are now a memorial with a fountain going in, and it's just constant water going in, and it was life-changing.
And we actually have a great video package for some of you guys out there to see what has been built in its stead. Take a look.
Today, of course, is a day of remembrance for the 9/11 attacks on America. You're looking at pictures of ceremonies now underway at Ground Zero.
Are they the tears of a nation weeping? Or a soothing rain, forever trying to wash away the horror of what happened here? This is where the Twin Towers stood. Look down. You cannot see the bottom. And you cannot come here and forget for a moment that achingly perfect blue sky morning. It is a place to look down and weep. But it is also a place to look up and rejoice.
I know. We're sitting here trying to
I
be
hate
calm-minded.
people see me cry.
You usually watch that.
Oh my God!
It's a miracle, but
I actually went when they opened. I was in New York because I go every month, and I went when they opened the fountain, and I made the line. It was actually like 4 hours, and I hate lines. And I went to do the line, and I have to say it was just like it was horrible.
Yeah,
it was very sad.
I don't want us to linger too much on the event from 18 years ago. We all had many conversations and lots of friends that have helped support us through that. But what we're at today is that it's been 18 years, guys. It's been 18 years since September 11th in 2001. Wow. What that means is that an entire generation of people are now able to vote that have grown up with a lifetime starting on September 11th, of terrorism, of social media hacking, of mass shootings every day of the year. That's the generation. That's Gen Z. That's what exists right now. What does it mean to grow up in Gen Z? And I'm going to start with you, quite honestly, with that. You're the youngest one here. You have the closest connection to that.
Well, as someone, I have a brother who's turning 16 on the 28th, and I am fearful. I don't live in fear, but I am fearful every day that my mom drops my brother off at school every single day, because my biggest fear is hearing that something has happened to my little brother. I think it's, in some way, it's kind of like until it happened to people that are old enough like us, where we didn't know what happened with Pearl Harbor. We didn't really remember the bombing of the World Trade Center, so we didn't really know what it's like to be attacked on land. But what they're witnessing and what they're realizing is domestic terrorism, and what they're finding is a new age of terrorism. And I think they're independent. I think that they are free thinking. I think that they are questioning authority, media, politicians, and that they are really trying to figure out a new way to go forward. But they're living in a constant state, like we lived in a constant state of, what happens if someone comes and attacks us from overseas? What happens if someone comes over? But now what they're going is, what if someone runs into this door from across the street? What if someone comes after us in our school? What happens if it's a new age of war? It's a new age of terrorism.
Exactly. And then I want to flip that to the opposite side of somebody that you're the eldest here, as we've
the
discussed. So we're gonna bring that up.
Well,
grandma over there.
I'm gonna go with
Daisy's the eldest. Remember when you said the drag queens were gonna chase me after the show? Oh, it's totally gonna happen.
Is Daisy the oldest?
Shut up, Howard.
I didn't think
No,
so.
I excited. I thought that was the conversation. But
Classic.
Antique.
But I am really curious.
Vintage. Let's use the word vintage.
You have all. Antonio, Power, Daisy, you guys have all had more time to watch this evolve. You were adults when September 11th happened. You were fully formed in your abilities to think and process and know what had gone on before.
I'm horrified that kids are growing up with the fear if they go to school they may be shot. That's horrifying to me. I've never experienced that. I mean, I remember driving from my job because they closed, and going home on 9/11. I was driving down the causeway when 95 turns into US 1 Power, by South Beach, and that was terrifying to imagine going to school and as a kid, and your worst fear is there may be a mass murderer coming into your fucking school.
Yeah. And that happens
and
on a
you
daily
may
basis
die
now.
today while you're going
Sad.
into lunch.
Right.
That is terrifying. I can't even imagine how to process that as a kid.
It's very sad. My husband is going to college for his doctorate, and every morning he wakes up at 6 a.m. in the morning because he goes to Miami. I'm like half asleep, but I'm like, be careful, look everywhere you go before you get out of your car. Be careful. If there's a shooting, just hide anywhere.
It's commonplace.
And I'm
That's scary.
asleep, and it's seriously like every freaking morning. I'm like, be careful. I have to tell my husband to be careful and to pay attention everything around. Because you never know. You never know what happens.
Well, that's why I started going to school online. I'm a college student online. I'm a junior at St. Petersburg College, and there's a lot of debates among us, and it's like whether you're pro Second Amendment or not. It's like some of the students are like, do I need to start caring? Do I need to start protecting myself? And it's causing distress among people because it's like, what do we do to protect ourselves? So I shifted all my school to online. I don't go to a college anymore in person.
And that's why?
Part of it, yeah. I mean, I need more time for myself, but also it became a fear where it's like, you don't know who's who. Yeah, it's like you don't know who's who. But it could be anywhere, but it's particularly in schools.
That should be a deciding factor.
I
for
think
people to
looking
know.
at it from the before and the after, since I was alive, I think that what we as Americans discovered at 9/11 was it was a wake-up call. Because before 9/11, we had this false sense of security that nothing like this could happen to us.
Yeah.
Nothing like this could happen to us. And so 9/11 really woke us up to the fact that terrorism could hit us, that all these violent and horrible acts are real, and that we are living in a new age.
Yeah.
And before that, there was such a sense of innocence, and that innocence is now
You said
gone.
it perfectly. This is the new America, and
Yeah.
that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is we want to make sure that you guys vote. You're turning
Yes.
18 today.
Yes.
Your friends are turning 18 soon.
Not for Trump, please.
Vote. Go out there and change the world.
And one thing
this is your new America. This is your
And-
new USA.
And one quick thing, I think that with 9/11, we saw that we could be terrorized and we weren't invincible. And what we're seeing now with the new age of terrorism and school shootings is that terrorists can also look like us. And I think that is the next
part.
step in it is that, it's accepting that. I think that's one of the hardest parts is now it's not just who it looks different than us. How can we categorize it? It's ideology, and it's really paying attention to that.
And the
It's
fact that we have to accept that as something being
And it's
acceptable is
hard,
not
but
acceptable.
it's the right thing to do.
And speaking,
True. It looks like white boys, not brown boys.
Why do you look at me when you say that?
better than white
We don't
people,
do much
okay?
shooting.
Your
Not
makeup
accept-
is
it's just not
threatening.
acceptable.
No, I'm kidding.
Anywho, on the
joking
topic
aside,
of the
not acceptable.
intensity and some of the things we're talking about, I want to move us along to our next topic, which is about kinky gay men.
Hello.
Ooh. You want to have a kink off, huh?
I don't have a kink. Whatever.
Okay, we're going to get into that in a minute. America. Kinky gay
feels
men
good.
are said to have a more open and honest relationship with their partners and are said to have better mental health overall. Let's take a look at this video.
That feels good.
Hey, you're in the den with Dr. Jen, and I'm here with Dr. Neil Cannon, who's a sex therapist and a licensed marriage and family therapist. And we're talking about BDSM. So let's start first with just a definition so folks know what we're talking about here.
Sure. So BDSM, bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism.
Okay, and I know you are particularly an expert in this area. You've done research on it. You're known as a national expert. Tell us a little bit about what you've done around this.
Well, we did one big study where we were able to actually take a look at psychopathology among self-identified BDSM practitioners. And what we found was that there's no increased levels of psychopathology between BDSM practitioners and the general population.
Wow.
We also were able to study intelligence, and we found that in the IQ department, BDSM practitioners are 10 standard deviation points higher in IQ.
That's a lot.
Yeah, 11% of women and 14% of men in the United States have participated in some form of SM activities.
Wow.
When we kind of can understand that going in around some of these alternative sexual expressions and help people work through the shame, it can be really healing.
Absolutely. This is such a valuable perspective you bring. Thank you, Neil.
So that is definitely something that perks my attention. One thing that as your hand gets ready for fisting, I see.
No,
yes.
I don't know. What?
Well, we'll get into that later.
Oh.
Well, or not. No, you won't get into that. One thing that I do want to start off this conversation with is the whole idea that in a kink relationship, trust, honesty, communication, and respect are at the forefront. If you're in a kink relationship of any sort, if you're playing intensely with somebody, you are forced to get closer to them. You are forced to communicate more, or else you have a lot of risk. And you could seriously hurt somebody if you're not able to read their cues, if you don't have the safety to know that they can respond to you the right way. I'm talking about things that can go as simple as just impact play through some intense electro or fire play or breath control.
Or fisting somebody that faints.
There's a lot of things that can be perfectly healthy, but that can be very dangerous if you don't have that level of trust, honesty, and communication. Are you talking about fisting somebody still? I had no idea you were such a
fisted
fister.
someone that fainted. I'm going to talk about it in my show, but yeah, he fainted on chains in the air.
What did he fake?
He fainted.
Fainted.
I thought he'd die.
Oh, see that, and that's why pre-care and post-care.
I guess that goes to your point about having trust, and obviously he wouldn't trust you again.
I do not want to know what the ass does when you're fisting somebody. It's just like.
I'm sure America has lots of videos of you doing that to see just what happens to your face. Not plugging it for you yourself. Daisy, do you have any kinds of kinks that you get into with any people that you've dated?
Do you want to go around the table first? Sure.
Need a minute. We'll start with power.
I've done
if you need
some
a moment.
horrible things watching Antonio's videos to myself. In the best of ways.
I hear a request to be in one of the videos in the future.
Okay.
Setting it up.
I take requests.
How about you,
DJ,
Power?
play my song.
Does anyone here? I mean, obviously, I have a lot of kinks, but does anyone else at this table have any fetishes that they indulge in with someone that they're close to? Particularly you two that have relationships.
That indulge in somebody that I'm close to. I mean,
Yeah.
I have fetishes, but I mean, I don't really indulge with my husband.
Yeah, that's very interesting because my husband doesn't do the fetish that I like.
So your husbands know about what you like, but you engage in it with different people.
I think he does. If not, baby, we'll have a talk.
Hey, and I would like to say, after saying, well, these two people are in relationships, just because I'm not in a relationship doesn't mean that I do not have a perfectly wonderful and fulfilled sex life. I think that as two people that don't do their stuff with the people that they're with, my consensual sexual relationships with other people are definitely taken to the limits we want to go. But again, it's all about consent, it's about respect, and it's about knowing where we stand. And oftentimes in relationships, you don't find that because you don't want to disappoint your partner, and they don't want to disappoint you.
One thing that's really interesting to me that you guys just hinted on, and you can have this too, even if it's not your partner, is the idea of opening up to your partner or to somebody that you're with, if it's not your partner, to your family, of this, like you said earlier, second coming out or third coming out or fourth coming out. You have to re-come out if you're into kinks and fetishes because other people might not be aware of it. The whole idea of coming out is that you're having people embrace your sexuality and that you're going through the world in this new sexual lens. Because sexuality is a part of all of us. We can't deny it. Like everything I see, I look through a little bit of an attraction of how horny am I? Am I interested? It's just always there. You guys get that, right?
Yeah, it's one of the main drives. It's one of the main drives.
Yeah, it's one of the foundational drives from a human. So that vulnerability that you're talking about is something that you can find with other people, or you think your husbands can find with other people, but not with each other.
Well, my fetish is fisting, and there's no fucking way my husband's gonna do fisting. So he's like, no, you go somewhere else.
Because you don't share it.
Yeah, well, he's afraid.
You meet each other's needs elsewhere. And
Yeah. Well, no, we take care of each other, but, if I get the opportunity to do something else, it's my fetish. But at the same time, I don't want to do my fetish all the time. It's like, you like pizza, but you don't have to eat pizza every freaking day. You get tired.
Now that's getting
so
expensive.
once in a while,
Yeah, I'm Italian, so come
you
on.
eat something else.
Well, I mean, I like wrestling, and I like sex and violence.
But
that's
anger sex.
Well,
but that's not really something that I'm going to share with my husband because I don't want my husband to be violent with me. I have explored that in my gay journey and have enjoyed it. It's just not something that it's not my go-to, but it's something that was a fantasy, and that fantasy has been fulfilled. I think everybody should fulfill whatever fantasies they
Well,
have, whatever fetishes they have. You should have, of course, experienced it. That doesn't mean that when you get married and you're a respectable woman that you're going to get your ass whooped every night.
I know. There are times that fetishes can get to be unsafe. I've had people that have asked me to roast them over an open fire. There are all sorts of stories of castration, things you can only do once, and that's a little bit extreme even for me.
Things you can only do once.
But
Roast
I
them,
think-
you castrate them.
But I think
Burn somebody?
Yeah.
Am I on a hidden
Oh my
camera
God, I
show
thought it
right
was
now?
kinky.
No. But
Fuck.
what I'm bringing up this topic for is because you're talking
Right
about
on the
aggression,
front.
about violence. A lot of the words that have been used here are attacking words. He said psychopath in that video. And part of what we're discussing here is the idea that mental health is on the play with people who experience kink, that if you're a kink player, that your mental health might be higher.
I think it's healthy when you express your kinkiness. A lot of people that are repressed, they tend to be like haters.
Yeah.
And they get angry because they can't express their sexuality free. And
So
they
being
are
open
angry
about
and
yourself.
they become the trolls online. you know?
I believe that.
So,
I was
yeah.
in a relationship for 7 years, and in the beginning, the sex was amazing. Towards the middle and the end, you get a little married 50s Stepford wives. You get a little of that. But I did like a little sex and violence. But I
Wow, you
not
made the
wa-
whole table wet.
I did. Well, I was just pointing.
Literally.
To her, but I did not want to know their names. So it was very. But I is that the way that society like tells you have to be? If you're a married lady, you have to be respectable. Yada da da da.
Yeah.
But if you're like with somebody and it's a one night stand, you can go off, bitch.
Yeah.
Whatever it
Right.
is, whatever works, girl. Work for me. Yeah. Understanding, and apparently you and your husband do too.
Well, one thing that wasn't discussed in the video that I'm really curious about is the idea that some people think fetishes relate to how we cope with our own trauma. That something that I might fetishize helps me to deal with something difficult from my past. So a standard
Not
one would be
always.
humiliation. If you grew up in an area where you were seen as less masculine and you had people in the locker room pick on you, as an example, that you might like humiliation as an adult or being submissive as an adult because it helps you to cope and take power back from those situations. Take power back
But a lot of
from those
times
situations.
it's the opposite. Like guys that are in high power positions, and I've been over some things, but I haven't taken them up. But
hence the Trump commentation.
you get offered some, guys that are in high power positions do want to be they feel the opposite of what they normally feel.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
I
it's-
agree.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that, I mean, when it comes to being a respectable person and also having a fetish, I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. You can be a respectable person
Absolutely.
in society and also have a fetish. And also, I think with the mental health aspect, I think, really what it comes down to is being able to be accepted and secure with your partner. I think that it comes
I'm
down
saying
to
the view of society on you.
Yeah,
you.
but also I also think that like my fetish is I don't really want everyone knowing. I like the people that are in the bedroom with me that are privileged to be there to know. But I also don't think it's everyone's business. But I think it's really the mental health aspect with your partner is like they know who you are and you can fully express not just your sexuality but what makes up your sexuality with your partner, and also having that consent and respect. And that is really what affects the mental health aspect of it, because then
openness to
there's
who
that
you are.
trust, there's that respect, there's that knowing, and that's what's most important. That would I think affect the wiring in the brain.
I do want to ask a question since it's been said. As regarding mental health, I know that in the past, obviously you're very into a lot of kinks. You guys know that Aaron and I are into a bunch of them. Would you consider us paragons of mental health? As in regards to that?
That's a good point because
'Cause I don't.
I was gonna say that if gay men that are open about their kinks and fetishes are supposed to be better, mentally, then I'm sorry for the ones that aren't, because I'm a mess. So if I'm an example of somebody that is more mentally fit than the rest of y'all hoes, I'm sorry for you.
And I think that takes us to where we're at with this conversation. Oh my gosh.
I agree.
You agree?
Me too.
Well, I encourage all of you to keep exploring your fetishes, see what it can teach you about yourselves and about your partners, because the whole idea of sex is that it's play.
Right.
Sex is supposed to be play. It's the same chakra. It's the same orange chakra. How we
Enjoy
play.
yourself. Do whatever the fuck you want. Who cares? You're in bed with somebody. Who gives a shit what you do? That's between the two of you, and that's it.
Yeah, and as long as you're on the
That's
same
about
page
it.
and it's consensual,
Yeah.
then everything else
Yeah.
is golden.
Exactly.
And speaking of consensual, we're going to go into what it's like in the workplace for those that are scared to come out. Because over 50% of our LGBTQ plus family is in the closet at work. Right now you can see a slide that explains that some of it is about a fear of bullying, about career advancement, about getting raises, or maybe even getting fired. And there is a lot of controversy with this. A lot of people that go to work, go to a standard CEO work, feel this way. At this table, we don't really have those jobs. We don't have typical CEO jobs. I know you might be moving into that a little bit more, but ours are pretty gay
in
entertainment.
my barbershop, it's like feasting and water sports every freaking day. It's
Right.
like, it's like nobody
That's Hush
cares.
Spa on Wilton Park.
Wait, that's the talks that everybody talk. Even the straight guys talk about
I
it.
thought that's what happens in
No,
the
no,
barbershop.
no.
I was going to say, I need a cut.
It's not what happens,
Come
but
back off
like
there.
even the straight guys talk like, oh my god, I pissed on my girlfriend. Like, but, it's the barbershop. You talk about everything, so it's normal.
Wow.
So I don't imagine like being somewhere that you can't talk about, like be yourself.
I haven't really had a normal job. So
Went straight into drag from the womb.
anyway.
Put on the slippers.
I think that when it comes to a lot of corporate jobs, whether I've worked those or with politicians and whatnot, I mean, there's I think also there's a time and a place when it comes to like sexuality, but then it comes to identity. When I work in my jobs, I'm not going to go door knocking, talking to constituents. So this is who I like to have sex and what position I like. That has nothing
Nobody's
to do with
business, really.
But what it comes down to is being known that you're gay, being known that this is who you are, and it's not. It's like also it comes down to the masculine stereotype. First, men in positions of power are held by men of a specific stereotype. So then it comes down to that's where we struggle with women getting into the workplace and being in positions of power. Then it gets into gay people and gay men being a man but not being that stereotypical masculine, aggressive acting, cold acting, power figure in those positions. And I think that it is tough, though, that also, for me, more the threat in terms of being gay in the workplace is religious exemption.
I think you're getting into a number of different topics from gender identity or from even.
Well, let's
how
bring
much
it all in and
masculine or
why it's
feminine
difficult
energy
for
we
us
feel.
all to be actually in the workplace, why it's difficult for men and gay men to be there, because and maybe taking out the women part and everything and being strictly about men, we're not seen as the stereotypical aggressive masculine type that is going to be in those positions of power. And then it comes into the religious exemptions being able to fire us because we're seen as second-class citizens, which is more the threatening thing than us really being able, because men, we can sit here and go, hey, okay, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to go and make this negotiation. We can do that, but people will still know we're gay, and we can still be fired because of religious overreach.
You're speaking quickly, one, and also you're going through something that I really don't think is relevant to the topic here, because
About being gay in the workplace?
No, about being gay in the workplace and about how much you project of masculinity or femininity, because that's not inherently the same thing as being gay or straight, especially to people that are our age and younger. People are growing up today that are very aware that masculinity is not the same thing that it was at 3 generations ago, 3 generations
Right, but
before
the
them.
corporations hiring you still want you to be a specific stereotype in that position, which is where it matters, because if you don't fit what they're looking for to be that CEO and what they're wanting to be in that CEO stereotype, and they know you're gay, whether you're more feminine or whatever, that can cause you to be fired. I know, because I've been with people where those things have happened. So I think it does matter, because who you are, when I go in, like if I went in and sat down, I was like, this is who I am, and I'm going to be the CEO, da-da-da-da-da, I can be fired because I'm not specifically the person they want to introduce to global leaders and global business people to represent their brand. It's all about representation. And if you don't fit what they want you to be, then that's a threat for you being hired.
Well, we can Gilmore Girls this later, but I am curious if anyone at this table has felt any fear of these 4 things while they've been at any job, of bullying, of career advancement, of
but
getting a
I know
raise.
that there are some jobs that still have a that being gay is still looked at as a negative stigma. And for example, teachers. A lot of teachers don't come out. Because they are, especially if you're in a small town or a backward town, it's looked at as if you're gay, you're a pedophile. You're a pedophile, or you're some type of threat to the children. So a lot of teachers are afraid to come out. We like I always say, we've come a long way, but we still have miles to go before we sleep.
Well, I want to make sure we get to the quick video about this while we're here.
Yeah.
To hit on it a little bit. Well, we are happy for all of the people that know that they have the support to come out, and we are here to support those of you that may not feel that you can. So, let's get into a little bit more of a fun topic. We have another game coming up, everybody. It is Power's favorite, Shag, Marry, Chop. Let's get into this round of it as you smile for it, all right? So who do we have? Who do we have for this round, everybody? Let's see. Who's the Shag? Who's the Marry? Who's the Chopped? Do.
Oh.
What?
Oh, God.
What? So we're going a little video game themed for this one. I take it.
Okay.
We've got Mario, Samus Aran, and Link.
Is Link a woman or a man? I'm confused.
Okay, so if you're confused, let's do something a little bit more revealing. They're all up in gear right now, like they're ready to have their own fetish one.
Okay.
We can flip the script a bit. Awesome.
Okay.
There's,
okay.
That's a little bit
More
better.
nudity. A little bit better. Okay.
I guess.
Okay, I got it.
All right.
I'll fuck Mario because he's Italian, so he has a big uncut dick.
You got a Shag, Mario?
A Shag, sorry, Shag. I have to be proper for it, sorry.
Oh my God, who are you gonna marry?
I'll marry Link. That's okay. I'm twinkish. I don't like twinks, but okay. And then I'll shop the other one, whatever. That
Bitch with the combat boots?
Yeah.
Samus Aran?
Yeah.
Power, let's take it to you. You're staring at there like, I don't know.
My answer echoes Antonio's. I will Shag Mario. I will marry Link, and I don't do girls, so I'll chop Miss Samus Aran, whatever her name is.
Michael, we know that you're recently into the vagina. So what are your
Just because I was in it doesn't mean I'm into it.
In it.
In it.
To win it.
The hand was gonna go up again, Antonio.
Okay, so I'm Italian. I don't want to deal with another, so chop Mario. I would Shag Link, and I would marry Samus, and I would create an empire that would take over the world.
Oh, child.
So now we see why you identified as a
Child, he
Republican.
has one straight experience, and now he's marrying women, girl.
Like I said, previous Republican coming back. Daisy, where are you at with this? You already came off all of them.
I think I would marry Mario because I do like a sporty swashbuckling.
Swashbuckling?
Yeah, like Italian
He likes the
gentleman.
mustache going
I do
from
enjoy it.
You're just excited to see old school Mario's nipples for the first time ever. Yes, America, Mario has nipples.
It's the mustache, I guess.
And then what? Samus and Ariana carry the one.
I don't know.
Whatever her name is in the middle, I think I would marry her because I think her wardrobe looks great and I would like to borrow it.
You want to borrow it?
So I would chop Link. Yeah.
I'm just imagining Mario's mustache if you're getting eaten out.
I like a good exfoliation.
That's a whole experience right there.
At least he's dedicated. At
chopping
least
the
Mario's
thing?
dedicated. He will travel the whole world for
Borrow
you.
some clothes and get eaten out.
Oh my God. Well, everybody, that's been this week's episode of Shag, Marry, Chop. Let's see who happens to play and come on board next week for our swashbuckling new game. Swashbuckling. I love it. So we're going to move into our favorite recurring segment, or at least it's mine. It's called Gay 101, and it's where we try to help everybody that didn't grow up with a gay mentor, because gay mentorships have died. And not many young gays have been fortunate enough to find a mentor, a drag mother, an alpha, somebody that's just in your field that can help you learn about our history, about what everyone went through before us in our LGBTQ community. So this section is dedicated to that. And today we're going to be talking about the Friends of Dorothy. So I'm sure some of you up here have asked that to others before. Have you said that, Power? Have you asked a friend if they know Dorothy?
No, I've never used that.
Right, back out. Have any of you ever asked a friend about it? Have you ever used that term before?
I
Are you a
have
friend
not
of
used that term,
Dorothy's?
but I've had that term well, when I came up back in the day in the 1800s when we had wagons. I like Electra was my pageant mom, and she was a huge Wizard of Oz fan. And I know this isn't necessarily for Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, but she would discuss, that and Judy Garland and the Stonewall and the whole thing and how that all ties in. And so I grew up with, I feel like maybe the last generation of drag queens that weren't influenced by social media or smartphones or whatever. And I loved that. I got stories of Stonewall. I got stories of Fire Island before there was social media and before you did things for the likes or whatever. So I'm
you just had passions to have passions.
And I'm happy about that.
I want us to go to this video clip that we have that explains a little bit more about it. Let's check it out.
While the ancient Greeks had their celebrated sacred bands of Thebes, a legendarily successful fighting force made up of all male lovers, in more modern times the various branches of the United States' military have not been so accepting of such individuals. Which brings us to the topic of today, that time in the 1980s when the Naval Intelligence Service invested significant resources in trying to locate a mysterious woman identified only as Dorothy, who seemed to have links to countless gay seamen. In any event, at this point you might be wondering who exactly was this Tokyo Rose of the gay community, and how did she have so many gay friends? Well, as it turns out, she was none other than Dorothy Gale of The Wizard of Oz. You see, for over half a century now, the phrase friend of Dorothy has been considered a euphemism for gay. The phrase, sometimes simply abbreviated to FOD, is believed to have first popped up sometime in the 1940s as a way for gay men to identify themselves as such to others without outright saying it. As you can imagine, in areas where the laws of the land and or the general populace were strongly against said individuals, being able to say I'm a friend of Dorothy instead of I'm gay was a major boon. After all, if said individual was speaking to someone who was also gay, the other person would probably know exactly what they were saying, but if not, then they'd likely think the individual knew some woman named Dorothy who they mistakenly thought was a mutual acquaintance. While there are alternate speculative hypotheses as to the origin of the phrase, based on the evidence at hand, as mentioned, it is generally thought to have been inspired by the popular 1939 film The Wizard of Oz and or the 1909 book that it is based on. It is also noted that Judy Garland herself ultimately became exceptionally popular among the gay community throughout her adulthood, while the film is popular for its message of inclusivity in spite of differences. To quote the Gay Times on the matter, Dorothy's three companions on her trip to Oz have long been read as gay, and for good reason. The Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion are misfits who do not conform to their perceived roles. The Scarecrow is unable to frighten anything, chrome or otherwise, the Tin Man constantly needs lubing up, and the Cowardly Lion seems to prefer mincing to roaring. This ostracization is familiar to many gay guys, who are often accused of being less masculine than straight guys.
So that definitely gave me a better insight into what that phrase meant. I had heard people say that was a part of our culture, asking if someone was a friend of Dorothy.
Right.
But I really did think it was just Dorothy Gale from The Wizard of Oz. And what that video helped me to understand and do more research into is that it did start with that in the book in 1909 from Wizard of Oz, but it grew to expand beyond just that Dorothy. It started to include Dorothy Parker, and then even later on Dorothy from
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls. The name I can't pronounce.
Dorothy Borznak.
Is that it, really?
Yeah.
It was like
Borznak.
But it's interesting how
Borznak.
But I also think it
Like
was
a
like
Dorothy
a way to
everywhere.
say,
Whatever it is,
hey,
it's
are
Eastern
you gay
European.
without saying, hey, are you a pop star?
Yeah, it's a way. It was the original hanky code.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
why you couldn't say, hey, are you a queen without saying, are you a queen?
So I guess that turned into like
It's
having
like saying,
gay
"Hey,
bars.
sissy."
Yeah.
Hey, girl.
Now sissy that walk.
Hey, sissy.
Bitch, you watch RuPaul.
By the
Like
way,
good
he
cover.
was cute. I want to meet him. He's English.
And that's
Should
where you're
be in
headed.
this
But I really didn't know. Someone asked me, and it was, and I don't remember specifically who. I've only been asked it once, but I think they were really coaching me. Like, are you a friend of Dorothy? They were saying it jokingly, not seriously. We both knew we were gay, but I didn't, I never really realized all the depth that came through, and I had seen so many different things about The Wizard of Oz. Like, for me, I was told The Wizard of Oz, and an interpretation was when you find out, like, you have to depend on yourself and not God. Everyone's relying on this person. You pull the curtain, and boom. So that was what I thought about The Wizard of Oz, and now I'm finding out a whole nother interpretation of it and how it's affected our community. So I'm walking away here with more information than I knew.
Well, that's always the goal. We aim to inform here at It's Happening Out.
And learn shooting star.
I thought you were going to go to a musical break right there. Full musical outlaw. So we've got a slide as well while we're going into it of exactly one of our fun friends at Swish Embassy and a shirt that they created with Dorothy from Golden Girls.
I love it.
Oh, that was already up from before during our conversation. So you guys have already seen it. Swish Embassy from the 80s sitcom Golden Girls. Of course, you guys know that. So we're headed toward the end of our show with Gay History 101, but I want to give Antonio a moment to talk about his package. Tell me about your naughty nuts,
About my
Antonio.
package.
I was about to say, how big are you?
Well, I'm having my first show on Friday. So actually, the 7 p.m. is already sold out. So I only have like 4 tickets left for the 9 p.m. show. And then I'm doing my show as well in New York, November 16th, that people are already buying.
I'll be living there at that point. I'll come see you.
On Eventbrite. And my show is about sex and porn and my life behind the scenes. So whatever nobody have seen, obviously, on camera, That's what I'm gonna be talking
what
about.
haven't we You're that man behind the curtain.
Oh, you haven't
before,
seen a lot of
right?
stuff like that fisting guy that fainted with my hand in his ass.
Is it a one-man show? Is it a play?
It's a one-man show. It's set up like a stand-up comedy, but obviously I'm not a comedian. I have a lot of friends like like Mario Canton. He asked me. He was like, "Oh, I'll help you to do the comedy," but I'm like, I don't want to be a comedian. I just want to talk about porn and sex and my experience in the porn industry. So that's what I want people to know about. So that's what my show is about. And my next show is November 16th. This Friday is the 2 shows here in Florida that they're pretty much sold out, only online. And then I'm doing a tour around USA. I'm going to Houston, Phoenix, Atlanta, Chicago. Next year I have a lot of cities that I'm going to be visiting.
Stay tuned, America, for that. The Naughty and Nuts.
Naughty and Nuts.
What is one thing, if I can ask you, if we have time really just about you, what is one thing getting into the porn and sex industry that you had an assumption about that ended up not being right? Like, what's one thing you went, this is how it's going to be, and then you went, whoa, this is it?
Oh my God! You think you're gonna fuck like all these hot guys, and then it's like, oh my God, I don't want to meet them. Like, actually, I got to a point that I was like, I don't want to meet them before the movie because then the magic is gone. Really? So, like, I will meet them right before the film, and then it's like, okay, I'm done.
Gonna ruin the magic of porn.
Yeah,
Everyone that comes.
it ruins the magic,
It's like the back behind the scenes tour at Disney.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to market it, man. Here at It's Happening Out, we have a wonderful way of saying goodnight to all of our friends and family that are out there. So I'm gonna launch it over to you, Power.
Good night, children. And like I always say, remember, we've come a long way, but we still have miles to go before we sleep. So keep fighting.
Michael?
Would you like to say to everyone out there that we can come out once, we can come out twice, but life is always about accepting yourself and evolving, and there's nothing wrong with learning more things about yourself.
Wonderful. Daisy?
Just be you, and as crazy as that may be, how you doing? It's amazing and it's okay.
Anthony?
Buenas noches, my pig. I hope you guys had a great time and subscribe to my fucking website.
Wow. Good night with a threat. Well, good night, America. Good night, world. We're so happy to have you on board. And remember, if it is important to the LGBTQ community, if it is happening out. We're here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Stay tuned.
Good night.
See you next week.
Y'all.